Greetings, everyone. This is actually step 2. I did this originally outside, but it was a bit noisy, and I made a mistake. So, anyway, I'm home alone as usual, but that's okay. That's an off the subject. This is confessional time. I had mixed emotions about doing this. You don't want to admit that you made a mistake. Why I'm doing this now? I've been thinking for some time to do an updated recovery video, either live or just do the video. So I'm making loose notes to cover 68 years, or 50 years anyway. So my conscience got me. I was told way a long time ago, when they get the recovery, how the program works is honesty, openness, and willingness. So I am coming clean. Compared to what I've seen other guys' lives in recovery, I don't really know, don't think I've had a normal life. I definitely haven't had a normal recovery. So, it is what it is. My sobriety date is actually changing. I will get to it in a second. So, openness and willingness. Step back to March of 2010. At the time, I was working full-time at a great cancer association. Had a great paying job, helping to fight cancer. I didn't know that I would actually end up with cancer 11 years later. This is life. And so my wife went to go do laundry. We're at the other apartment. She went to go do laundry, and I had thrown the blanket down the floor without thinking. She slipped on it somehow, and she broke her femur bone. She couldn't get up, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. So we called these handsome emergency guys, and they took her down the stairs, and she ended up in ICU at the very same hospital my dad was in 3 years later. So they rushed her into surgery. Not rushed, actually. They got her into surgery, in there for a few days, and then she went in rehab at the hospital, and then out the rehab center for a couple weeks, I think, and then went to my parents' house for 2 or 3 months. What this meant to me is, I would have to deal with the stress of work, and deal with the household chores, and pay the bills, and help her. So I'm running back and forth to work, back to rehab, back to my parents' house, mainly on the bus. My friend at ACS, I had worked with another job before there, and I thought he was cool. I would find out other ways. He offered to drive me home, which is about 10 miles away from work, and I thought that was great. Saved me an hour on the bus. I would discover that he was actually an alcoholic addict. So he and his friend would be over my other apartment before I moved here, drinking and smoking weed. It's something I ain't been around like forever. So that first 3 or 4 times, no big deal, no problem. then I think the stress of everything going on, I just eventually broke down. So I hit the joint about 3 hits, and I said, I can't do this. I don't want to go down that way. Besides, it was hurting my lungs and my chest, so they want that. At some point, I started joining them. I bought the beer and the whiskey. So my actual recovery date is July the 1st, 2010. I had made it almost 15 years, the longest I can ever remember going, because then I couldn't go 15 days for a while. It helped me to forget about the loneliness, the stress, the pain, and everything else. I could have got myself into lots of more trouble. So after a few times over the 4 months, I told myself, I can't do this. If you stay in recovery long enough, it will ruin your using. And I got into recovery at January 1988, when I was homeless and due to crack cocaine, LSD, marijuana, and alcohol and everything else. So I've also been in 3 drug rehabs. So I got smart and nipped it on the bud. You hear that in no time. And I said, I can't do this. So again, my sobriety date is July 1st, 2010. I got even with him. I told him, look, man, you can't be doing this here. If we get caught smoking weed, I could lose the apartment. I've been down this road before. I don't want to do this again. So he kept bothering me at work. Well, I got a very important job to do, and he came in stoned once too often. So I went and told the boss a couple of times, and I told him, go search his car. So he kept bothering me over and over again, so he did it once too often, and my boss fired him. Once I went over to his desk, as most people were out of the office. I said, man, you're nothing but a junkie, low-class junkie. So we almost had a fight there in the office. The last straw was I loaned him $60 thinking he'll pay the bill he owed. He had the balls to buy a bag of weed in front of me for that much. He damn like I didn't wring his neck and beat the crap out of him. That was the last straw, and the following week it was fired. Karma will get him. The disease never leaves. It's always knocking at the door, just waiting for you to open it. Long ago, I knew I could die with the disease or die from it. And the odds of dying clean and sober are quite high against you, but I had to make a decision. Enough is enough. I'll do what I have to do to make it through each day. What I learned from the experience is be careful who you're hanging with. I can't be around anyone partying for obvious reasons. Perhaps there was a learning stepping stone to my being alone 95% of the time now. I do have a counselor on Zoom. I talk to or see on twice a month. You must be on your toes at all times and know that We have to think. We have to think before we act. A lot of times I just pick up the booze and the jokes and what do you know about it. So anyway, it was a learning experience. I almost had 15 years. I now have 11, and the last 7 have been the hardest time of my life. And right now I'm walking on thin ice. So I do not have a sponsor. The rarity that I see here